All right, good morning. So for flow today, we'll start down on the mat and come to seated. Let's just start seated. So come to a cross-legged seat. You can always sit up on a block, especially if the hips are tight, just landing on your mat. Bring yourself up on a block. You'll bring the block to the lowest height or cushion, pillow, whatever you have. Sit the hips up. And then that'll just give you more space to cross the shins. Mid shin is what you're aiming for. Palms can come down to the thighs. Sit up tall. So you're broadening across the chest, drawing the shoulder blades down toward the hips, lengthening the neck. So rising up through the crown of the head, tip of the nose, point straight forward. Close the eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Inhale in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more cleansing breath. Deep breath in. Exhale out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose. Right back out through the nose. Keep going. Listen to the sound of your own breath. Try to tune everything else out. In those moments where you have complete focus and concentration on just what's happening right now in the moment, those are your moments of meditation. We try to make them longer and longer. Stay in them and continue to come back to them. Blink open the eyes. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up overhead. And on the exhale, forward fold. It's your first hip opening. Don't feel like you have to go too far in. Just go into a nice, gentle, good morning to the hips. Let the head and the neck go. And make sure your hands are touching down on something. Sometimes the hips are tight and take a while to open. So if you need to put a block underneath the hand or hands, that's fine. Start to walk the hands back in toward the body. Open the chest to the left. Come into a gentle twist. So just part of the way, nowhere near as deep as you can go. Hips are still pointing forward, which is a nice way to do a twist because you can't really take that right hip with you anyway. Come back to center, switch the crossing of the legs, bring the other shin in front, try to cross at mid shin, toes pointing forward, feet forward, more underneath the knees, away from the hips. And then once you feel even on the sit bones underneath you, inhale, reach the arms all the way up overhead. On the exhale, forward fold. Maybe noticing a difference if there is one side to side. Walk the hands back in, coming back up to seated. Open the chest to the right. Come into a gentle twist. Maybe halfway. See if you can sit up any taller in the twist. And slowly come back to center. Switch the crossing of the legs, go back to the original crossing. Bring the hands to the knees or the thighs. On the exhale, round the spine the way you would in cat pose. And then on the inhale, lift the chest up. Gaze can go up. And we'll do a seated cat-cow. Round the spine. Inhale, lift the chest, arching the spine. Keep going on your own. Starting to build some heat in the back. One more cycle, inhale and exhale. Back to a neutral spine. If you're up on a block, set the block off to the side, coming back to seated. I'm turning to face forward so you have a better view. And then from here, feet on the mat, hips on the mat, reach the arms forward, palms facing up. Bring the knees and the feet all the way together. So it's like you're squeezing the inner thighs together. You'll feel keeping the feet down and the hips down. If you squeeze the thighs together, what happens to the core? Do you feel that hug in? Because when you squeeze the inner thighs, that's part of your core. So keep that. Lift the chest and look up. Start to lean back a little bit. You're still reaching forward with the arms, squeezing the inner thighs together. Maybe you lift the feet up in line with the knees. And now you'll feel rock a little bit forward and back. It's a tiny movement until you feel the sacrum, that triangular flat bone just above the glutes. So it's below the lower back, above the glutes, and that's where you balance in your Navasana boat pose. Keep squeezing those inner thighs, reaching the arms forward, chest is up. And we always look in the direction, well, here we'll look up in the same direction that we have our chest so they stay together. Come down to Ardha Navasana. So still squeezing the thighs together, reaching the arms forward. You can look forward if that helps. Come back up, Navasana, boat pose. Ardha Navasana, lengthen. Navasana. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. Two more. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. This time, come back to Ardha Navasana. Keep reaching the arms forward. Lift the right leg and then switch. So you're doing flutter kicks. Arms are reaching forward. Legs are long. Core hugging in. Keep the chest lifted. One more each side. Hug the knees in toward the chest. Rest the head down on the mat. Maybe you rock side to side a little bit if your back's okay with that. And then from here, grab onto the backs of the thighs. Start to take some rocks up and down the spine. If your back doesn't like that, come to Navasana and hold Navasana. But you'll start to build some momentum if you are doing the rocks. And see, can you come back to that cross-legged seat and then back to downward facing dog? So it's a folding of the legs. You'll come forward onto the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Hands are flat on the mat. I'm working around a hand injury, so I'm doing fists on the mat today, but if your hands are fine, please keep your hands flat. Head and neck release. Hips go up and back. Heels are working down toward the mat. Belly's hugging in. That also helps you lift the hips up. Step the right foot up between the hands. Coming into a runner's lunge. Reach the arms back behind you, hovering the chest low over the front thigh. Squeezing the hands together. Reach the arms forward. And then on the exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, arms reach forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, arms reach forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. This time, inhale, reach the arms forward. Left hand comes down to the mat, right arm reaches up for a twist. Turn the right palm to face behind you. Wrap the right arm behind the back. So you're opening up that right side shoulder. Try not to take the hips all the way over to the right. So if you need to look down to square the hips, do that and then open the chest, open the shoulder. Right arm reaches back up to the sky. Bring the right hand down to the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Find your runner's lunge, feet hip width distance apart. When you're ready, reach the arms alongside the body. Hover the chest low. Trying to get the weight even in both legs. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. This time, inhale, reach the arms forward. Bring the right hand down and the left arm up for your twist. Shoulders away from the ears. Right leg is strong. Turn the left palm to face behind you. Wrap the left arm behind the back. So coming into a half bind wherever you get the most space on the left side shoulder and chest. Right shoulder's also moving away from the ear. Left arm goes back up to the sky. Left hand comes down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower all the way down onto your stomach. You can use the knees to get there if you want to. Arms reach out in front of you. So palms are down on the mat or floor in front of you. So like Superman. Tops of the feet press down to the mat. Lift the hands up just to shoulder height so they stay low. Get really long on the inhale. Cactus the arms. Oh, sorry. On the inhale, lengthen the arms. On the exhale, cactus the arms. So same thing we did in our lunge. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. Bring the hands back by the lower ribs. Come to cobra. So tail points down toward the heels, chest is lifted, hands are light. Exhale, release, child's pose. Come up to hands and knees, shift the hips back, forehead down to the mat. Back to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, walk the feet up between the hands, coming into a forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. 2 more, Ardha Uttanasana. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Last one. Inhale up halfway, strong legs. Exhale, fold. This time, circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Stay here, Urdhva Hastasana. So shoulders are going down toward the hips. The sides of the neck get longer. So you want that whole space around the neck and the tops of the shoulders to be really open and free. Elbows are hugging in. You're reaching the arms up. Press down into the feet like you're trying to spread the mat apart. So you feel the muscles in the legs lift up. So the whole body is connected. Core is hugging in. Breath is still going strong with your Ujjayi breath. Shift the weight over to the right foot. Lift the left knee in toward the chest. So see if you can try to get that left thigh to touch the torso. It probably won't happen, but just keep hugging it in. Right side of the body still in that Urdhva Hastasana. Extend the left leg forward. Try to keep it lifted high. Stand tall on the right leg. Then left foot comes down, back to Urdhva Hastasana. Shift the weight over to the left foot. Right knee comes in toward the chest. Try to get the thigh to touch the torso. Left leg still standing straight. Extend the right leg forward. Right foot next to the left foot. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Open up across the chest. Point the knuckles back. Little bend in the knees. Fold forward over the legs. Knuckles go back behind the head. Shift the weight forward into the balls of the feet. Hips are lifting up. So you want to feel like the backs of the legs are opening and even the backs of the knees. Head's getting closer to the legs. Hands come down to the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Arms circle all the way back up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Bring the hands to the lower back. Fingertips point down toward the hips. Hug the outer elbows in. Grip the mat with the feet like you're going to spread it apart. Feel the muscles in the legs start to lift. Core in. Start to lean the chest back, coming into a standing camel pose. You can stay with the gaze looking forward. Try not to take the hips back, just the chest. Elbows hug in, opening up the front side of the body. Slowly come back up to standing. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Bring the left arm forward and the right arm back. Keep the hips pointing forward. Maybe the gaze goes to the right. Maybe it goes over the right arm. Gaze comes back forward, reach the arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Right arm reaches forward, left arm reaches back. Keep the hips pointing forward, look to the left or at that back hand. And if you feel wobbly, just keep the gaze forward. That's fine. You're trying to find where your challenge is today. And it's always in a different place. Bring the gaze back forward, reach the arms up overhead, bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Chest lifts, hips lower. Chest lifts, hips lower. Chest lifts, hips lower. You're coming to Navasana. Slowly set the hips down to the mat. Maybe you hover in a squat. Once you set the hips down, reach the feet up, boat pose. Arms reaching forward. Hug those inner thighs in toward one another. Lower down, Ardha Navasana. Navasana, Ardha Navasana. Navasana, Ardha Navasana. Hug the knees in toward the chest. Start to take some rocks. So grab onto the backs of the thighs. Build some momentum. Can you come back to chair pose? Maybe you need one more rock or two. Maybe you don't use the hands to come back to chair pose. It's a lot of momentum. If you need the hands, that's fine. From chair pose, Urdhva Hastasana, arms overhead. Shoulders away from the ears. Shift the weight over to the right foot. Bring the left knee in toward the chest. Right hand, right hip. Grab onto the left big toe with the index finger and the thumb. Try to level the sit bones. You did it before. This is easier than what you did before, even though it might not seem like it is. Extend the left leg forward. So you can have a deep bend in the knee. Figure out how open the backside of the left leg is. Stand tall. Right arm can reach up for balance. Can you keep the left leg right where it is? Lift the left arm up. Bend that left knee like you're going to take a big step, but you're coming to a lunge. Step that left foot back behind you. Bend the right knee, reach the arms up. And that left leg wants to stretch, so let it go back. Lift the chest. Straighten the front leg, still reaching up with the arms. Turn the toes to the left. Angle in the right toes. Turn the left toes all the way out. Warrior two facing the back of the mat. Hands in line with the shoulders. And you want space between the fingers. So if they're all touching, put a little bit of space between the fingers. You don't want them wide apart though, which is my tendency. I heard a great way to describe it yesterday from a teacher I took class with, a breath between the fingers. Flip the front palm up, left palm, reach up and back, reverse warrior, left leg forward, pointing toward the back of the mat. Extended side angle. You can either do forearm to thigh, right arm up and over the ear, or left hand outside of the foot if you feel like you're open enough for that. Right leg still driving down through the mat. You want to keep that strong. Right hand comes down to the mat. Walk the hands over to the right. So you're facing the side of the mat. Toes point forward. Turn the hands to face behind you. Walk the hands behind the feet. Prasarita Padottanasana. So wide-legged forward fold, but now you're adding a shoulder opening with the fingertips pointing back behind you, palms down on the ground. Bring the hands forward, fingertips underneath the shoulders to lift the chest up halfway. Turn the toes to face the top of the mat. Step the left foot up to meet the right foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Back to chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Come all the way up to standing Urdhva Hastasana. It's like you're trying to spread the mat apart with the feet. Find a focal point, eye level. Shift the weight over to the left foot. Bring the right knee in toward the chest. Left hand, left hip. Grab the big toe with the first two fingers and thumb. Level off the sit bones. Any amount, extend that right leg forward. Left arm can reach up, Padangusthasana. Right arm reaches up. Keep that right leg lifted. Bend the right knee. Step back to crescent pose. Take your time. Land light on the ball of the right foot. Arms reach up. Stretch that right leg back behind you. Straighten the front leg. Turn the toes to the right. Angle in the left toes. Turn the right toes all the way out. Warrior two. Watch the space between the fingers. Same thing we did on the first side. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Extended side angle, forearm to thigh or hand outside the foot. You could even use a block. Left hand comes down, walk the hands over to the left, turn the toes to face the side of the mat. Hands turn around so they face behind you, and then you walk the hands behind the feet, Keep the hips lifted so the weight's even between the balls of the feet and the heels of the feet. Head can come down toward the mat. All the muscles in the legs are lifting. This is a big opening for the whole backside of the body. Bring the hands forward. Come up onto the fingertips so you can lift the chest up halfway. Turn the toes to the top of the mat. Step the right foot up to meet the left foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold back to chair pose, Utkatasana. Lower the hips, lift the chest. Lower the hips, lift the chest. You know where we're going. We're working our way down toward the mat. Practice your squat. Can you hover the hips just above the mat? You can reach forward as much as you want to, but this is a traditional squat. And then set the hips down gently, Navasana. We're always trying to make that as gentle as possible. It makes me giggle because it's never as gentle as I want. Lift the chest, look up. Navasana, squeezing those inner thighs together. Ardha Navasana, get long. Navasana, you can always bring the hands down to the mat if that feels better for support. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. Ardha Navasana. One more. Navasana. Ardha Navasana. Hug the knees in toward the chest, grab onto the backs of the thighs, start to rock. So you can see how this movement is all core. You got to get enough momentum to come back to chair pose using the hands as little as possible. We're all coming back to chair one way or another, with or without the hands. But if you are using the hands, try to use them lighter and lighter. Hug the belly in, reach the chest up. Come all the way up to standing Urdhva Hastasana. Feet hip width distance apart. Shift the weight over to the right foot. Bring the left knee in toward the chest. Right hand, right hip. Grab the big toe with the first two fingers and the thumb. Extend that left leg forward. Maybe the right arm reaches up. Level off the hips. Stand tall. Keep the leg where it is. Lift the left arm up. Warrior 3. Take your time. Keep the legs straight as you kick it back. Reach the arms forward. This one's, all of our yoga poses are core, but I notice when we change our flow to something like this, you can feel it a lot more. Step back, crescent pose, and maybe your balance is better. Straighten the front leg, turn the toes to the left. Angle in the right toes, turn the left toes all the way out, warrior 2. So we're laying off the vinyasas today, but we're using our arms in a different way. Keeping your arms overhead is not easy, especially when you keep them straight, meaning they're not relaxed overhead. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Extended side angle. Right hand comes down, walk the hands over to the right, facing the side of the mat. This time, grab the outer ankles, or you could grab the big toes with the first two fingers and the thumb, just like we did before. Flare out the elbows, come up halfway, and now fold. Let the belly hug in, head goes down toward the mat, shift the weight forward, and you're trying to pull up on the toes, and the big toes are trying to press down on the fingers. That's your yogi toe lock. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, coming up onto the fingertips, lifting the chest. Turn the toes to the top of the mat. Step that left foot up to meet the right foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Utkatasana, chair pose. All the way up to standing Urdhva Hastasana. Shift the weight over to the left foot. Bring the right knee in toward the chest. Level off the sit bones. Grab onto the big toe with the right hand, left hip, extend the right leg forward, Padangusthasana. Left thigh back, chest lifted, shoulders away from the ears. Pressing out through both feet. Reach the arms up. Warrior 3. Take your time coming into it. Virabhadrasana 3. Try not to open up that right hip, so the right big toe is pointing down toward the center of the mat. Crescent pose. Bend the standing leg, land light on the back leg, ball the back foot, reach the arms up. Straighten the legs, turn the toes to the right, angle in the left toes, turn the right toes all the way out. Virabhadrasana 2 facing the back of the mat. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Extended side angle, Parsvakonasana. Left hand comes down to the mat. Bring the right hand over, facing the side of the mat, toes to facing forward. Grab onto the big toes or ankles. Lift up halfway. Fold forward, flare out the elbows. Make sure the hips go forward so they're right over the knees, lifting the muscles in the legs. And this is helping you get that length in our Padangusthasana when we're standing with the leg extended, one leg extended out in front of us. Come up halfway, fingertips underneath the shoulders, turn the toes to face the top of the mat, step the right foot up to meet the left foot, inhale up halfway, exhale, fold, chair pose, Utkatasana, reach the arms up, lower the hips, lift the chest. Lower the hips, lift the chest. Make your way to Navasana, but see if you can hover in that squat. Arms reaching forward, chest is lifted, core in. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. This time, Ardha Navasana. Rock. So bring the knees in towards the chest, grab onto the backs of the thighs. Take 3, 4 rocks, however many you need to build up enough momentum, back to chair pose. Utkatasana. Come all the way up to standing, arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Let's add a back bend here. Bring the hands to the lower back. And it's up to you. If the hands feel like they're open enough and the wrists and the forearms, you could turn the hands so that the fingertips point up. That's a little bit much for me at this point. So I'm going to keep the fingers pointing down. Hug those outer elbows in. Lift. Your legs are turned on right now. They're complete control. So lift the muscles in the legs, lift the core, start to lean back. You can stay looking forward or you can look up. Come back up to standing. Reach the arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Start to shift the weight over to the left foot. Reach the right knee up. Extend the leg forward. Left arm reaches forward, right arm reaches back. So you're finding that twist, trying to keep the right leg up. This isn't easy. Maybe you stay with the gaze forward. Maybe you look to the right or at that back hand. Reach the arms up overhead. Right foot next to the left foot. Arms stay up. Start to shift the weight over to the right foot. Lift the left knee up. Extend the left leg forward. Right arm forward, left arm back. Find the twist going the other way. Stand as tall as you can. Arms up overhead, legs still lifted. Left foot comes down. You're back in Urdhva Hastasana. This time, shift the weight over to the right foot. Lift the left knee in toward the chest. Padangusthasana. Right hand, right hip. Grab onto that left big toe. Maybe right arm reaches up if you find that better for balance. Left leg reaches forward. Feeling like these are getting better each time you come into it. Left arm reaches up. Warrior 3. Take your time. This time, standing splits. Bring the hands down underneath the shoulders. Fold over that right leg. If you want to play with your balance, walk the hands in closer to the standing foot. Maybe you grab the ankle with one hand or maybe both. Hands to the mat, step back to a lunge, feet hip width distance apart, come up for crescent pose. Straighten the front leg, turn the toes to the left, angle in the left toes, turn the right toes all the way out. Virabhadrasana 2, facing the back of the mat. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Extended side angle. Right arm up and over the ear. This time from extended side angle, straighten the front leg, come into triangle. Right arm reaches up to the sky. So you could have the left hand resting on the shin, top of the foot, maybe outside the foot. Could also use a block. Legs are straight. You're rotating the chest up toward the sky. Trying to get those hands at 12 and 6 o'clock. Turn the right palm to face forward. Reach the arm over the ear. Extended triangle. Left palm can face forward like you're holding a beach ball. Come all the way up to standing. Turn the toes to point forward toward the side of the mat. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Open up across the chest. Fold down over the legs. So it's a wide-legged forward fold, but we've got the fingers interlaced behind the head. Hands come down, fingertips underneath the shoulders, lift the chest up halfway, turn the toes to the top of the mat, step the left foot up to meet the right foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose, Utkatasana. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Bring the hands to the lower back, hug those outer elbows in, fire up the legs, start to lean back, standing camel. Maybe you keep the gaze forward, unless you like to look up, but there's a big difference. Come back up to center standing. Reach the arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. This time, shift the weight over to the right foot, lift the left knee up. Extend the left leg forward, right arm goes forward, left arm goes back. Maybe the gaze goes back. Good. If you come out, just come right back in. Arms reach forward and up. Set the left foot down. Move the weight over to the left leg. Lift the right knee up. Extend the right leg forward. Left arm forward, right arm back. Stand tall. Bring the arms up overhead. Set the right foot down. All right, back to where we just were. Shift the weight over to the left foot. Bring the right knee in toward the chest. This time, left hand, left hip. Grab onto the big toe with the right hand, extend the right leg forward. Maybe the left arm reaches up. Stand tall. Both arms up. Warrior 3. Standing splits. Take your time. Bring the hands down to the mat. Fold over that left leg. Play with your balance here if you want. Walk the hands as close as you can to that standing foot. Maybe you grab the ankle with one hand or both. Hands to the mat. Step back to lunge. Feet hip width. Take it up to crescent pose. Straighten the front leg, turn the toes to the right, angle in the left toes, turn the right toes all the way out. Virabhadrasana 2 facing the back of the mat. Flip the front palm, reverse warrior. Extended side angle, Parsvakonasana. Straighten the front leg, lift the left arm up. Arms are 12 and 6 o'clock. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Turn the left palm to face forward. Extend the left arm over the ear, extended triangle. Fire up the legs, get light in that bottom hand. Maybe you lift it so you're reaching the arms forward. Come up to standing. Turn the right toes in so the toes are facing toward the side of the mat. Interlace the fingers one finger over. So the unusual way, point the knuckles down, opening up across the chest, fold forward over the legs. Hands come down underneath the shoulders, coming up onto the fingertips. Lift the chest up halfway. Turn the toes to face the top of the mat. Step the right foot up to meet the left foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose, Utkatasana. One last time. Start to lower the hips, lift the chest. Do it a couple of times and then see how low can you get in your squat. Hovering, weights in the heels. Navasana. Hold in Navasana. Get it set up. Squeeze those inner thighs. Keep the chest lifted. Feeling that core wrap all the way around you, not just in the front by the navel. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. Ardha Navasana. One more because this is our last time. Navasana. Ardha Navasana, do your rocks. Grab onto the backs of the thighs. 4, 5 rocks, 3, however many you want. You'll end up back in chair pose without using the hands. Woohoo! And forward fold. So widen the feet to the outer edges of the mat. Clasp opposite elbows. Let the head and the neck go. Try to shift the weight a little bit more forward into the balls of the feet. If you like swaying side to side, the torso, you're welcome to do that. Just keep it gentle and slow. You don't need to go fast. Clasp opposite elbows the other way. Bring the hands back down to the mat. Heel toe the feet back to hip width distance. Bring the hands to the mat. Step back to plank pose. One vinyasa if you want it. Lower down halfway. Chaturanga. Come up for your back bend. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, up dog or cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bring the knees down to the mat, big toes together, child's pose. Come up to kneeling. So we'll play with camel pose since we did it standing today. I like to fold my mat in and give myself extra padding on the knees. My knees aren't sensitive. I just think it feels good. So that's a good idea if you're on a hard surface. If you're on carpet or something like that, I'm sure you don't need to do it. Okay, so hands to the lower back. Decide if you want the fingertips to be pointing down or pointing up. Then lift the leg. So imagine you're standing on the whole leg, even though you're standing on the knees. Lift the core, hug the outer elbows in, lean back just with the chest. Stay here, or maybe the hands go back to the heels or blocks outside the feet if you want to do that route. But shoulders are open, front side of the body's open, your body's warm, the back side of the body's been working hard. And so is the core. Slowly come back, hands to the lower back, untuck the toes, sit back onto the heels, hands on the thighs, close the eyes, just rest. It's nice to take in this energy that you're bringing into the body, into your day. Bringing it in whatever direction you want it to go after this. Come back up to standing on the knees. So you could have tops of the feet to the mat, or you can tuck the toes. If you tuck the toes, then you don't have to reach as far back. If you feel like there's more room, keep the tops of the feet and go that route. So hands to the lower back, hug the outer elbows in, lift the thighs up, lift the core up, start to lean the chest back. And then maybe the hands go down lower if the space is there. Chest is lifted, lengthen the whole front side of the body. Keep the lower back long by bringing the pubic bone to the tailbone and the tailbone to the pubic bone. Bring the hands back to the lower back, sit back onto the heels, rest. Camel is one of those back bends that's a lot harder, takes a lot more energy to get in and out of. Today's practice, it's kind of nice to play with it because we did it standing and we didn't do as many vinyasas, so you might have a little bit more energy for them. All right, third and final round. Come back up onto the knees, hands to the lower back. Fire up the legs, fire up the core, start to lean the chest back, outer elbows hug in, shoulders away from the ears. Keep the hands where they are or lower them down toward the feet. Ustrasana. Bring the hands back to the lower back, sit back onto the heels, rest, close the eyes. We're done with those back bends. Just let that settle. If you have the mat folded, extend it back out in front of you. Take child's pose with the knees and the feet together. So inner knees touching, inner feet touching, thighs all the way together, fold down, forehead comes down to the mat. Can close the eyes. This is a nice way to release your camel pose. Walk the hands in toward the body, bring the feet over to one side, extend the legs out in front of you, coming to seated. And this time, let's bring the sole of the right foot inside the left leg. So just like Janu Shirshasana, but we'll do a twist first. Open the chest to the right. You'll feel that twist immediately. Keep the left toes pointing up. Gaze over the right shoulder. Sit up as tall as you can. You can use the hands to do that. Keep the arms where they are, or you could bring the back of the left hand to the top of the right thigh if that helps you sit up taller, not drive you into the twist deeper. Bring the gaze forward toward the left toes, keeping the body in the twist. Unwind the chest. Inhale the arms up overhead. Center the chest with the left toes and fold over the left leg. If you can reach the foot, great. If not, then just let the hands rest on the mat or the leg. Head comes down toward the knee. Head to knee pose, Janu Shirshasana. Walk the hands in, coming back up to seated. Use the hand to bring the right knee back to center, extending the leg. Grab onto the back of the thigh, grab the foot, bring it inside the right leg. Sitting up tall, even on the sit bones, open the chest to the left. Start to gaze over the left shoulders. Sit up tall with the hands. Then decide if you want to keep the hands where they are or back of the right hand to the left thigh. Gaze goes forward toward the right toes. Unwind the torso. Inhale the arms up overhead. Fold over the right leg, Janu Shirshasana. Bring the head back up. Bring the soles of the feet together, coming into Baddha Konasana. Try to bring the heels in toward the body, shifting forward onto the front of the hips. You don't want to be leaning back on the back of the hips. You want to be forward on the front of the hips. So less on the buttocks. And then as you grab onto the inner edges of the feet, the knees go down, start to flare out the elbows, fold forward, like you're trying to bring the chest over the toes. So you keep the spine long and you'll start to feel a hip opening, maybe an inner thigh growing opening. Come back up to seated, use the hands, bring the knees back together, extend the legs out in front of you, reach the arms up overhead, sit tall. So press down to the sit bones, rise up through the chest. Keep all this length as you start to fold forward over the legs, Paschimottanasana. seated forward fold. Make sure the hands touch something. If you're feeling extra long because we work so much lengthening the backside of the legs, you could put a block behind the feet and let the head come down toward the legs. And start to come back up to seated, soles of the feet to the mat, setting yourself up for Shavasana. Come on down onto your back, extend the legs, toes turn out, lift the chest one last time to get the shoulder blades underneath you. If you need to shift the glutes forward so they go more toward the heels and keep that space in the lower back, do that. And if your lower back's tender, bring the soles of the feet to the mat, let the knees touch the center of the mat. And that's a good alternative for your Shavasana. You'll start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Reach the right arm overhead. Walk the feet in, bending the knees. Roll over to your right side. See if you can lie the head in the bicep. Left arm resting down the side of the body. Left hand comes down to the mat in front of you. Bring yourself up to a comfortable seat to close your practice. Eyes closed, hands come together, bow the head. Honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit with gratitude for making it on your mat today. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining today. Hope you feel good. And also enjoy experiencing a vinyasa flow a little differently. All right, see you.